Also for the short introduction, for the housekeeping rules. I'm also quite happy to see so many familiar faces, or let's say names in the audience. I'm sure that I'm not the only one who is missing the real meetings with everything which comes with it, especially new ideas and partnerships. So we thought of, to give this networking a small chance at least, we created a Padlet board. And Anna Sophia, it would be kind if you can post that into the chat. I think it would be very nice if you, as the audience, also upload a picture and write a few words about yourself so that everybody knows who is around, who's listening in, and who's participating in the discussion. And as we had a little head start, you will find also the bios of our speakers already posted on that Padlet. To walk you quickly through the agenda of this session, we have a short opening, and after that we're gonna listen in to 3 presentations, to which we will allow 2 or 3 very short questions right after it for clarification of a very burning issues which you may have. As Tirk already mentioned, we would really like to include you into this discussion, so please write your questions into the FAQs window. Please also, it would help us if you can put there the name to which of our panelists this question is directed, and also, of course, put your own name and perhaps organization there, so that we can read them and integrate them into our discussion, which we also have after the presentations. We have that panel discussion. We hope that we're gonna look, or just aim to look at 3 issues. The first of all is like to recapitulate perhaps open questions on the human touch, and then also on what that human touch brings you on the impact of the business, and also how that human touch may increase the value for the customers. So I think we are ready to go, and I'm very honored to present you Linnea Kreibo, who is opening our session today. Linnea, thank you for being here. Linnea is a Senior Policy Officer in the division Cooperation with the Private Sector and Sustainable Economic Policy in the German Federal Ministry of Economic Cooperation and Development, the well-known BMZ. Linnea, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. And I'm honored to open today's session on the value of human touch in the wake of digital distribution at the International Conference on Inclusive Insurance. I want to begin by thanking the Munich Re Foundation, the Microinsurance Network, and all partners for organizing this meaningful conference, as well as GIZ for hosting this session. A special thank you also to the speakers for taking the time and sharing their experiences today. The COVID-19 pandemic has painfully demonstrated again that without any safety nets, unexpected expenses related to illness or the loss of a family member can eradicate any savings financially vulnerable people may have and further trap them in the poverty cycle. The World Bank estimates that COVID-19 has led to between 119 and 124 million new poor in 2020. Social protection systems are reaching their limits. However, we need to diversify the strategies in risk management, and health is a fundamental risk. Health insurance lowers or even removes financial barriers to obtaining health care. Uninsured households are less likely to incur high out-of-pocket healthcare expenditures, and thus are better protected against unexpected shocks that set back development progress. In generally, compulsory publicly funded schemes are most effective for enabling low-income households access to healthcare. However, private or voluntary health insurance can be an effective complement in general, but especially where such compulsory schemes have not been fully established. In Germany, it is quite normal to be insured against certain risks, for example, certain health risks, loss of life, or accidents. However, according to the Microinsurance Network, in many developing countries and emerging economies, on average, only 5% of the low and middle income population Sometimes even less are covered by any kind of micro-insurance product, and even less than 1% are covered by health products. The German Federal Ministry for Economic Cooperation and Development, in line with the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, is committed to, among other things, combating poverty and hunger, as well as to make basic healthcare accessible to everyone. Insurance, particularly health insurance, can be an essential building block for achieving these goals. The BMZ has been engaged in financial system development, which includes insurance, for quite a long time. GIZ, on behalf of BMZ, is currently implementing around 20 projects related to insurance, with a contract volume totaling about 80 million euros. When I prepared for this session, I was happy to see that in all 3 case studies presented today, insurance does not come as a standalone product any longer, but rather is embedded in the entire ecosystem, a holistic approach we have been promoting for many years. Within our projects that we as BMZ support and in the international market development, we experience that innovation and digitalization have spurred the uptake of insurance and have created immense potential to reach so far and underserved populations, such as rural or low-income customers. Digital distribution and online interaction with customers can help overcome geographic and societal constraints, but also operational issues such as scale or costs that traditional insurance often faces. But at the same time, we see that the former experience of progress has slowed down. While insurance stays a difficult product to sell, it seems to be even harder to retain customers once they have been acquired. Limited touch points with customers and few human interactions often cause inadequate awareness, lack of understanding, and especially low trust in insurance among the target population and customers. This often results in low uptake and high customer churn, thus does not ultimately support the goal of reducing the protection gap. Moreover, the exclusive focus on digital services often allows little control over responsible sales techniques. Therefore, a human touch is still an essential element in making insurance solutions inclusive and sustainable. Smart partnerships within, but also across sectors, are also key to develop innovative approaches to insurance with the right balance between digital services and a human touch. Today, we will hear about the journey of 3 companies and partnerships from Asia, Africa, and Latin America that all aim at increasing access to health insurance for rural, low-income, or hard-to-reach clients, but all apply a very different approach. I am certain that these cases will allow interesting insights and discussions as to which extent and under what circumstances digital distribution and insurance services need to be combined with human touch engagements in order to be truly sustainable. For now, I wish you all a fruitful session, inspiring discussions, and new discoveries about your field of work. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Linnea, for this opening and setting the scene. Considering your last words, I'm quite certain that we will deliver. The 3 examples which we could gather here will present today how different approaches by increasing the human factor in the digital advances of the microinsurance business will affect and have impact on trust, on retention, and also on the potential of innovative partnerships. So I would say let's start and have a deep dive into the world of BIMA. I call Desmond. Desmond Mall will elaborating on humanizing insurance and healthcare through digital communication based on our project experience in Ghana. Desmond is a product manager at BIMA with responsibility for customer experiences and customer relationship management. And he has acted as a project lead on the public-private partnership between GIZ, Allianz, and BIMA. Des, please.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much, Matthias. My name is Desmond. I'm a product manager at BIMA. And before I start the presentation, I'd just like to say that I'm excited to be here and very honored as well to be able to speak at this conference. And so I'm going to talk about an innovative project that we embarked on in Ghana that sought to recreate the customer journey by adding human elements, both physical and digital. And specifically today, I'm going to share some of the insights on the digital side. Before I do that, allow me to introduce BIMA. So we talk about ourselves as a fintech for health company. Our core product is an all-in-one family health platform. It's an umbrella under which we offer insurance, telemedicine, health management strategies, and medication support. We operate in 9 countries across Africa and Asia. To date, we've reached 25 million customers, and we've provided just under 2.5 million teledoctor consultations. And the project we embarked on, the ICII project, was a collaboration between BIMA, Allianz, and GIZ. As already said, GIZ, the international development arm of the German government, and the project was part funded by the BMZ under their Develop PPP program. And before I talk about the journey that we created, I should say there's always been, or for BIMA, there's always been a significant human element to our model. We've always had a large team of sales agents, both in the field and in call centers. And then within our mHealth operation, we have a team of qualified doctors. And yet, despite that, we have faced the same challenges, which are so typical in our industry, like low trust in insurance, customers not understanding the product that they have signed up to, and that general perception from a customer that actually, in return for what I pay each month, am I getting value? And all these challenges is what we sought to address with the ICII project. So specifically, we built experience centers in 10 of our key locations in Ghana to provide a physical presence for customers. We developed an agent app to give our sales agents, our field agents, a tool to the way that they serve customers. And then we built out a number of digital communication journeys, including product onboarding, health management programs, and programs designed to encourage utilization and engagement with our products and services. And all of this was done with the view to educate, engage, and provide greater value to our customers. So what we set out to learn? Specifically, we wanted to understand, does digital communication have an impact on long-term payment behavior? And then secondly, we wanted to understand, in some ways, there's no limit to the amount of investment companies can do in data-driven personalization, production of high-quality, rich media content, but we want to understand what's the value, or indeed, is there a value in doing that? Does it lead to great customer engagement? And before we look at some of the insights, I'd like to show you actually what the digital communication journey is, what we did, what it entailed. Specifically, we worked with 3 channels. We worked with SMS and IVR, or voice recordings, for feature phone users. And then for smartphone users, we worked with WhatsApp, and obviously leveraging the platform's rich media functionality to really bring our product, our company, bring everything to life through visuals, like infographics and videos. And I know I've just got 10 minutes, but I'd like to spend 1 minute to show you one of the videos that we created as part of the journey, because I think it demonstrates very nicely how we attempted to bring, or to humanize who we are and also our product.
Yema wakwa baba BIMA, mayenka samfa a doctor fwa, wonwa kukwa na wonim adwuma a wo ho kwan se woni won bedi nkomo afa wapomuden ho ewo be health inhihyease se wohia se woni doctor bekasa woni wabusua ewo akwanya se woni BIMA doctor bedi nkomo de pia telephone so yen BIMA doctor fo no wo ho ma odemu ni nyina won betumi aboawo amwahwe wapomuden ene nyare wanketinketi bi ye boa ma wote wo mra wodi betu kwan so emra ankesese woji free adwuma ho ene mra anka wodi betu santene prebia ene bebia wo bia se wohia BIMA doctor wo betumi afre no amana maw akwankyere wo wapomuden ho se wo pese woni BIMA doctor fo ekasa free 0800 100 200. So
what did we learn? So the first thing that was quite insightful for us was to realize the realization that when it comes to digital communication, there's no such thing as 100% reach. In fact, we found delivery rates across all 3 channels no higher than 80%. And even where messages were delivered, customers' engagement with that content was just half. And even where customers had engaged, we found their ability to recall specific learning to be quite low. But what was pleasing and interesting was whether or not a customer had engaged with our content, what almost all customers acknowledged and remembered was that BIMA had contacted them. And crucially, that contact was always viewed as a positive. And in the words of our customers, you know, I liked that BIMA contacted me. I liked what BIMA sent to me. And it shows me that BIMA cares about me. And when it comes to impact on retention, we tended to see an uplift after all our digital communication journeys, but we also saw that that uplift was short-lived. In most instances, the uplift was 1 or 2 months, but by month 3, the churn rate had returned to normal levels. And so our conclusion when it comes to the impact of digital communication on long-term payment behavior is that in isolation, one journey has very limited, if any, any influence on long-term payment behavior. However, we believe that if digital communication journeys are considered as an integral part of the customer experience, in other words, journeys are created to support human interactions and also to create additional relevant touch points in the customer journey, then the combined effects of that can be very powerful. And we believe that that can lead to long-term positive impact on payment behavior. Let me move on to our second hypothesis, which was around the value of personalization and rich media. And the really important learning for us was certainly within BIMA's customer base in Ghana. Being an owner of a smartphone is not the same as being a user of a smartphone. In fact, we found that 1/5 of our smartphone customers were not digital at all, and they use their smartphones as a feature phone. And so it highlights an important point. Even though we know that this is probably likely to change in the future, right now we cannot make assumptions on customer behaviors based on their mobile phone type. Amongst those who were engaged smartphone users, or active smartphone users, should I say, we find that whilst they appreciated our kind of approach on WhatsApp, they expected more. In fact, they told us that they expected more detailed content and they expected information that we delivered to be more relevant to their particular circumstances. And so it was important for us to understand who is this audience who's so bluntly telling us that we need to do better. And we had an assumption that actually was going to be age-related, and we were going to find that our smartphone users were a much younger demographic. But we were surprised to see that actually average age between smartphone user, feature phone user, very similar. However, where there was a difference was in education levels. We found 85% of our smartphone users to be educated to at least secondary level, whereas the same figure for feature phone users was under 50%. And equally, we found 1/3 of our feature phone users said they had no official education at all, whereas the same figure for smartphone users was under 5%. But pleasingly, and perhaps most interestingly, regardless of education and regardless of age, WhatsApp users consistently demonstrated a much better understanding of what we had tried to convey. In fact, their ability to recall topics correctly, information and key learnings were 3 times. And it highlights a couple of important points. Firstly, as I said, we cannot make assumptions. Around people or customers' behavior based on their mobile phone type. And as long as we have feature phone users in Ghana, then IVR and SMS are going to continue to be an integral part of our channel mix. But of course, the direction of travel is towards greater digitalization. And with that, customer expectations rather, is likely to increase. And if we want to remain relevant, we're going to have to embrace technology, CRM technology, and effectively elevate the way that we have traditionally engaged with our customers. And so as a conclusion, I'd say we know that our digital distribution network has allowed us to achieve digital ubiquity. And the way that we're now thinking about our physical presence is part of us achieving physical ubiquity. But as a subscription business, with what's essentially an intangible product, we believe digital communication, that is a strategy like the one we've described today. In other words, occasional but regular and always relevant content or contact from BIMA is going to be an important part for making us relevant and making our services an integral part of our customers' lives. So it's a way for us to convey value, and it's going to help our customers see us as something worth paying for. And if I can leave you with one final thought, I'd like to reference Essie and baby Yao, who you can see on screen right now. They feature in a video that GIZ has done on this project. I'm going to share the link in the chat shortly. Essie found out about BIMA through our experience centres. She spoke to one of our field agents. She saw value in the product and she signed up. She signed up to a health cover. She thought, as a young mother, I have a need for this. And it was lucky that she did, because shortly after, the baby Yao was taken ill with malaria. But thanks to her BIMA health cover, she received advice from a teledoctor. She got Yao off the hospital in time. Yao made a quick recovery. Essie received a payment in line with her policy, and she even received content to help her prevent a recurrence in the future. And Essie's story highlights how crucial both physical and digital touch points are going to be to the customer experience that we aspire to deliver. But ultimately for BIMA, our goal is not just to serve low-income families in Ghana, but in fact to serve and reach low-income families and protect their future in all the markets in which we operate. And so the ultimate value, I think, to BIMA from this project has been the learnings. And those learnings will shape the future direction of our business. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Des. So the human touch has also can work as digitally, right? By incorporating it throughout your whole customer journey, having communication at the core, as I understand. But also, I think let's touch later in the discussion more on the other touch points of your customer journey. But for now, I think your two hypotheses have been answered, and we are very excited to see if the long-term data will prove what the short-term reflection suspects. And I think it will be also very exciting to watch that video, which will be in the link. But of course, I ask the audience to watch it later after our session, so that you're not missing the next presentation. However, I think now it would be the time also for the audience to type in your questions. And as I see there are none so far, I will use the time and my role as a moderator to ask my first question, which really struck me during the presentation. Perhaps you can elaborate quickly about how you profile your customers and how you do that without harming your very strict data protection rules.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it's probably fair to say that when it comes to profiling, we haven't done very much of it. Our profiling activities have been more on the acquisition side to make sure that we attract the right kind of customer, the customers interested in the product that we have to offer. But certainly within the Agabi project, we explored data profiling to create more relevant and personal experiences post-purchase. And obviously we found through the insights that we can really enrich our customers' experiences. But everything wasn't quite right as part of this project, as I mentioned, around like that assumption that smartphone users are all on like WhatsApp, for example. But certainly we found that we can enrich our customers' experiences. So capturing more data, both pre and post-purchase, part of our customers' customer journey with us, capturing data, all relevant data, so that we can continue to personalize their experience of insurance and healthcare. That's going to be absolutely like crucial for us. But I think it's fair to say right now, profiling is in its infancy at BIMA. Just to touch on your point around the data protection, everything that we do at BIMA, we understand, how important it is to keep our customers' data secure. We've already got like robust processes in place, but actually when we're going to start using data for profiling and further personalizing, we are thinking right now in the context of GDPR. And we know that even in our markets today, their standards when it comes to data protection is not up to GDPR standards, but we're thinking and building for the future. So we want to make sure that we apply the strictest rules when it comes to data protection. It's the right thing to do from a regulatory perspective, and it's also the right thing to do by our customers.
Okay, thanks. I do have two questions here. Barbara, I will use your questions for later. I will keep that for the discussion because we're going to hop on that topic, but perhaps I can bring in the question of Jill. He's asking, can you give us some insight on the gender differences that you found in your experience?
So Ghana is the market we found where actually there aren't the differences between the genders are not that great. Certainly in some of the markets that we operate in Asia, very, very male dominated, or at least it's the male in the family that subscribes to our product, even though the female may be a user of the product, certainly the health services. But in Ghana, the gender differences don't seem to be so significant. If I remember correctly, I believe there are around 60-40. 60% male, 40% female subscribers or policy holders for being.
Okay, good. Then let's stop here for perhaps we do have more time in the discussion later. And now perhaps we move from Ghana across the ocean to Brazil, a very fascinating market with far too little penetration. And for this, we have Edson Calheiros with us, who will talk about the importance of the human touch in digital inclusive insurance in Brazil. And Edson is the president of the National Association of Microinsurers in Brazil. He also is the educational director of Group Life Club of Rio de Janeiro. He is the founder of ALM Seguradora, the first microinsurer in Rio de Janeiro, as well as the founder of ICII Seguradora. So Edson, you're definitely a very busy man. So thank you very much for being here with us today and inspiring us with your friend Roberta, who I think you will introduce in a moment. Please.
Olá.
Hello. Good afternoon. And a good day, especially to the ones in Brazil who are here. First, I would like to thank the organization of this event, especially the Mr. Matthias team for their efficient work on this panel. The main goal is to talk of the challenges of distributing products, sustainable products and inclusive products in Brazil. Today, we are 213 million, mainly low-income population. And within this reality, we started to try and develop something that could really attract that population and that we could distribute sustainably the products, especially within the reality, within our reality, and where we could have a penetration of this population, which today is outside of traditional insurance market in Brazil. And it's an honor to be here for the invitation. And it's really a pleasure to be here doing this presentation. Então, let's talk about the situation in Brazil. Please follow the presentation screen because I don't have control of it. So please, someone, if you can, yes, change the screen. Thank you. The main goal is to talk about microinsurances in Brazil and the potential, market potential, and the products that we created, always looking at the possibility of including the population who does not have traditional insurance access today. And we had to develop a few products with these features that were of easy understanding without using the word insurance, and especially that it could give them a protection to families who do not have any protection today. Please change the screen. In Brazil, we have a large population to cater to, and without digital tools, we could not get there. So as we reach our space in the market, the media started to open up the space for us and started to have these articles. The small has become huge in Brazil, the tiny became huge, and population in Brazil, the population does not know micro insurances. First, because they think they cannot afford it as a family. So we have to explain in order to create sustainable products for this low-income population. Can you go ahead, please, with the slide? We created the first product, which is a unitary payment tool, annual payment, which had an individual protection, especially when it comes to funeral assistance, allowance, and personal accident insurance with benefits of this product. And in order to be attractive, we included a partnership and we offer drawings in order to attract this bracket of the population so that they could get to know microinsurance in Brazil. Please, next screen. And this population, in order, since they don't understand anything about microinsurance, we needed to bring awareness, and we started to develop this idea of Roborota, and so that this bracket of the population could understand in an easy way what it is, so that they could go into the market. And since the bracket of the population is not aware of protection through insurances, they started to buy products that did not attend to their needs, or that did not give them the protection that they needed. Next slide, please. So we started to think to distribute products considering the situation before the pandemic through cell phones, since most of the population in Brazil utilizes phones not only to communicate, but also to acquire products, deliveries, etc. We started to think of a formatting to distribute our insurance products within the digital tools through mobile phones. Next slide, please. So, and what to do so that these products could be attractive to this population. We started to create the idea of protection, but also the idea of benefits in life, to have assistance in life, the insurance, not only for protection, but also to add value within the family. And we started to work the concept of family. In other words, if you use insurance, you have more benefits and assistance for your family. For example, we have a nutrition follow-up program and another program, psychological counseling, and we started to attract this bracket of the population, not only for protection, but also for other benefits that they could enjoy as our clients or users. Next. So it was a challenge. And what did we have to face in Brazil? We found out as we analyzed the numbers that Brazil is no longer a young country. We always said that Brazil was a young country, but today we're going into being a more mature country with a population that's older, even beyond day-to-day productivity. And we found out that a few traditional insurance companies could not include within their insurance companies products, I'm sorry, people who are over 75. So if we have a demography that since 2020, we had a population with 76-year life expectation. So we started to work on products towards this bracket of the population, older people, so to speak. Next. So we had in mind to create benefit clubs, so we wouldn't have just the protection of an individual, but the whole family. And in that, we could add value to the family. So it's an insurance product, not only for protection to the family, but also that could be part of daily lives of these families. And with this idea of family products, and not only for the individual, we started to have great success. And for that, we needed to be able to reach these families. So we started to use not only technology or the concept of digital distribution, but also the concept of adding the family to the products. In what way? We created two modalities. One modality, we say that is the purchase help with assistance. In other words, a member of the family can be a multiplier of insurance products. We send a link to that person in the family to their cell phone, and they do the distribution. And that's how they purchase the product, with help or assistance. And we started to work not only with the human touch to the digital touch, but to include all members of the family. So we found out we could even multiply more if we could provide the self-purchase feature. How did we do that? You know, now, yes, it's all digital. I send a link. It's not an app. A link, not an app, that goes through WhatsApp or email. And that member of the family has access to the link and then can purchase the product that is within what they can afford. So thinking of that, we started to work on products for specific niches. And please, next slide. I wanted to show you an example here of a product that we call taxi driver family. In other words, a taxi driver, any taxi driver in Brazil ends up not being protected when it comes to basic protections. He or she spends the whole time working on the street and the family is not protected. So we brought this product, we launched this product with this feature, a specific product for the taxi driver's family to protect his family and bring benefits on daily lives, on his or her daily life, such as cheaper fuel and cheaper products. Let's go to the next slide, please, because I want to show you a video of how Robo-Urta works and why Robo-Urta. Robo-Urta comes with the idea of humanizing and simplifying our work. And here we go. You can play the video he's saying. Do you know, Roberti, inclusive insurance in Brazil is a challenge in Brazil. We have 200 plus million, mainly low-income population, requires dynamic, practical, and informal communication without using the word insurance. We have developed in partnership with tech company InsurTech 77 SCG, a platform for the distribution of inclusive insurance products that are simple, friendly, sustainable, and scalable for this bracket of the population who does not have access to traditional insurance products. Roberta is a simple platform available to brokers to sell individual and group plans through a link for guided or self-purchases of products such as Safe Life or Happy Life, or packages such as 2P Family Benefits Club, whose main distributor is the insured, him or herself, who promotes the products to their friends and family. You can access this platform seamlessly from any smartphone, notebook, or computer. The inclusive insurance policy is purchased or renewed with a few clicks of the mouse. However, we still need to raise awareness of insurance as an instrument of social inclusion and financial planning. We work with the idea that inclusive insurance is key and that it's key to be safe and insured. Our distribution platform uses digital tools, but a human touch is also important since our target user requires help and encouragement through social media campaigns that provide credibility to the product. Roberta is not only available digitally to our partners, but also by way of trainings, awareness, campaigns, and a human touch 24/7 in case of incidents or accidents. We have added a relevant number of new policy holders in record time with easy, secure, and quick services to thousands of Brazilians who now can safeguard their most precious asset, their health, while spreading the word to their friends and family. And the interpreter has finished before because she translated the text before and she is not able to hear the sound, but basically all the information is there. Now you know that Roberta is waiting for your visit. Well, within this process of development of the digital tool, we try to bring a human touch in order to facilitate this distribution, and we work with some basic premises. First, to try and do the inclusion, include these low-income families who are vulnerable to a protection environment, but not only of one individual, but the whole family. And we work with the second premise, which is the main one. Insurance is essential and it's important to be insured. Thank you so much. It's great to have the opportunity, and thanks again. Thank you to the whole team for your participation and for your presence. I wish you success.
Thank you so much, Edson. I think we have only time for one question. Anyhow, I think that we heard now that the market in Brazil is mostly untouched, and the key is a simple communication, and you try to use mouse-to-mouse propaganda, emotions a lot, and with a sort of a focus on group and family insurance linked to social media campaigns. And I think that here the question fits actually quite nice from Barbara. I translated it in your channel on in Portuguese so that you can read it. But it's about if you can elaborate a little bit about the difference in the services which you are needed in the services you are offering, since they seem to serve very low customer base, but your communication channels are more focusing in an urban direction. I hope I got that question correct. Perhaps you can elaborate a little bit on that.
Perfeito, Matias. Yes,
Matias, the main idea is to, in order to distribute our product in a sustainable manner and an economic manner for low income populations, we have created this insurance that is for a funeral aids, and together with that we give benefits that we call in Brazil to be used while living, is a nutritional support. That customer of the funeral assistance company, he can call an 800 number and to have some nutritional products or nutritional information that will facilitate his everyday life. Moreover, we give him or her some advantages so that he can consume some products that are cheaper than those that are sold in the traditional channels. He can buy, for example, a pair of tennis, sneakers, if he's a client of the product, the insurance product, and funeral assistance. The main objective is to make him have the sensation that if his family is protected, he would also have access to benefits that today he doesn't. That's the main idea.
Okay, good. Let me move now from Brazil all the way over to Indonesia. And for our last case, we do have two speakers. We do have Felicia Kawil-Harang. Felicia will present the partnership between HelloDoc, Allianz Life, and Gojek in Indonesia. Felicia is one of the earliest recruits of HelloDoc, and from what I heard, a cornerstone of its success. As a vice president of marketing, she oversees all marketing initiatives from strategy and execution across all channels. Together with Felicia, we have also Marco Japutra with us, who will particularly talk about the insuring of Gojek drivers and how the human touch was helpful to make that, to bring this to a success. Marco is only in his new role since 2021, so very fresh. He's even though he has been with Allianz long before, but now he's the head of health business for Allianz Life Indonesia. And yeah, Marco is looking after product strategy, product innovation, but also about the product marketing of various health insurance solutions for Allianz Life Indonesia. The floor is yours.
All right, thank you, Matthias, for the introduction. And before I begin, I just would like to quickly thank the conference organizer, GIZ, as well as the Munich Re Foundation for inviting us to this event. It is our first time attending this event, and it is our absolute pleasure to be here. Now to open our case study, again, my name is Marco Japutra, and together with me, I have Felicia Kawil-Harang, who is the VP of Marketing from HelloDoc, and we will share our case study of insuring Gojek drivers, which is a motorbike taxi drivers in Indonesia. Next slide, please. So to emphasize the key points of this case study, these are our two hypotheses. Number one is the role of digital healthcare in serving the Gojek driver segment. And number two, the role of human interaction in a mostly digital customer journey. Yeah. Next slide, please. So to quickly introduce about Allianz in Indonesia, and since December 2020, Allianz is the #1 life and health insurance company in Indonesia and in terms of new business. And we are also the loyalty leader in Indonesia since year 2016. Our commitment is to insure more Indonesians, where we want to grow from 8.3 million lives insured today to 13 million lives insured by year 2025. And to do so, we are working closely with our business partners, including banks, financial advisors, and other organizations such as Gojek, Bukalapak, as well as Halodoc. Next slide, please. So Gojek is a multi-service tech platform company with a core focus on ride-hailing service, food delivery, and e-payment. They are the first unicorn company in Indonesia with a valuation of $7.5 billion in 2019. And in 2021, they have merged with another unicorn e-commerce company called Tokopedia. So Gojek has been very successful and they have the numbers to show for it. But for the purpose of this case study, I would like to take us back to the year 2016, where Gojek asked Allianz to come up with a health insurance solution for their motorbike drivers. And maybe also to highlight here is that Gojek drivers, they actually work as a freelance and they do not have the same insurance benefit as a Gojek corporate employee. And that makes it very unique for us to provide this solution. So the question is then, who are these Gojek drivers? Next slide, please. So the average Gojek drivers fits in the mass market segment in the lower income group. Yeah, they have limited understanding of insurance, not just health insurance, but any insurance product. And most of them never bought insurance before. They make their salary on a daily basis, and their daily earnings are highly dependent on the number of customer orders that they deliver. And therefore, their earnings range can be very wide, but it's usually around the minimum salary income in Jakarta, which is around $300 per month. And due to the nature of their job, they have extremely high mobility. They will need to pick up customer orders to deliver packages, as well as food delivery orders from one side of the town to the other. And lastly, we have a systemic issue here in a big city like Jakarta, and where it takes on average 4 hours to visit a doctor in a hospital. So first you need to get into the hospital to get registered, wait for your turn, and then actually see a doctor for maybe only 10 to 15 minutes, and then wait again before you pay at the cashier, and then you wait again to collect your medicine before you go home, right? So if we summarize all those points into problems that we need to solve, we have one, in terms of premium, this needs to be very affordable. Two, the product will need to be very simple to understand and very simple to use. And three, we need to find an alternative solution for the healthcare delivery. Yeah, meaning instead of steering the Gojek drivers for offline consultation, we need to find a way to steer them for online consultation. Next slide, please. So what solution that we offer? So we came up with an insurance product, yeah, with the right insurance benefit and also affordable premium of only 17 cents US dollar per day, which is roughly about $60 per year. And it is essentially a group medical indemnity product. Yeah, that will cover the driver in case they need to be admitted into hospital for whatever illness, or maybe to get a surgery. It also covers outpatient treatment if they just need a simple visit to a doctor. Digital healthcare is also a piece that is part of the solution, and this is provided by Halodoc. And this is also why I'm very happy to have Felicia today with me to share with you more details about Halodoc and what they do. And the last piece of the solution is a digital platform, as well as digital processes So things such as customer registration, claim submission, as well as including premium deduction from the driver's e-wallet, all of this can be done digitally. Next slide, please. So from our experience in rolling out this solution, we learned that human touch is needed for a successful customer onboarding. So some of the key highlights of what we did, we actually started with pen and paper when we onboarded Gojek drivers. And this actually helped to generate enthusiasm among the drivers because they actually get to see each other's doing the registration. And number two, we had dedicated sales support that helped drivers answering questions around the insurance benefit and the claims related processes. Three, we also had dedicated area at Gojek and Allianz head office, as well as at the branches, where the drivers not only can take a break, but they also can sign up for the insurance program and ask around for insurance related services. And unfortunately, when we started, the in-person marketing campaigns proved to be very effective in not only in raising awareness, but also in doubling our active customers in 3 years. But with COVID-19, we tried various digital campaigns and events, but unfortunately, we did not find these digital campaigns to be as effective as doing in-person campaigns. Next slide, please. And another example that I would like to quickly highlight here is that in terms of the premium deduction that we did with using human touch. So we are actually quite fortunate that Gojek supported Allianz in enabling automated daily deduction of a premium from the driver's e-money balance. And at that time, having this solution actually helped us solve many of our challenges regarding premium deduction. And in the year 2020, we saw an increase in the drivers lapsing their policies due to insufficient balance. We explored several options, such as extension of grace period, trying to call the drivers, but they were not very successful. And during one of our FGD, we learned that drivers sometimes forget to set money aside for premium deduction. So one thing that we tried and which was quite successful is that we sent out personalized SMS communication to remind drivers. And this really helped us in reducing the lapses as well as improving a premium deduction success rate. Next slide, please. So with that, I would like to bring my session to an end. And basically for me, for Allianz, there are 3 key lessons here. One is to really understand the customer. And 2, in order for us to serve this customer, to find the right solution, we need to have the right vision as well as to find the right partner. And lastly, we need to remember the human connection in whatever it is that we try to deliver and develop for the customers. Yeah, with that, I will hand it over to Felicia.
Hi, everyone. I'm Felicia Kawilarang. I'm the VP of Marketing at Halodoc, as both Matthias and Marco has introduced me. So I'll take you through quickly about what Halodoc is and how we came to be. Next slide. So how did Halodoc start, and what were the pressing issues in Indonesia that made us want to start a health tech company? So one of the reasons why we started was because in Indonesia, there's only 3.8 physicians per 10,000 inhabitants. What that means is that we are actually 7x less than the top countries like the UK and the US. And why that is so is because we're an archipelago. Because we are thousands of islands, it's hard for doctors to have this amount of doctors and cover as many people. As Marco said in his presentation as well, the capital city of Indonesia also has huge amounts of traffic and a lot of travel and waiting time for people to get to hospitals or pharmacies. And right now, Indonesia also doesn't have an online or offline information for medical records, meaning that when you go to Dr. Dr. A will keep physical records, but when you move to Dr. B or Dr. C, those records stay with Dr. A. And so Dr. B or C will not have any medical records from you except for anything that you say to the doctor themselves. Next. Besides those challenges as well, basically the main challenge across all of this is that the patient journey is a tedious and conventional one that Halodoc tries to solve through technology. Next slide. What Halodoc tries to connect is the patient with the providers, which is doctors, pharmacy, hospitals, and as well to patients as payers. So insurance, corporates, or individuals. Next slide. So right now, Halodoc is the #1 healthcare platform in Indonesia of downloads and transactions. We have 25,000 licensed doctors, almost 20,000 partnered pharmacies across the archipelago. We also have lab services. We work with insurance partners like Allianz for coverage, as well as hospitals and clinics, all available through our app. And our main mission is to simplify access of healthcare through technology. Next slide. Next slide. Sorry, that's what I meant. So as you can see from this picture, what this is depicting is most of our doctors are actually around the Java area, which is where our capital city is. So the GPs and the specialists are only in the island of Java, while the rest of the islands are basically have 0 doctors. They have the GPs, but basically 0 specialists outside of the island of Java. But because of technology and the creation of the Halodoc app, we now can bring those specialists to other islands just through the internet, right? Because those other islands already have access to internet. And to use our app, all you need is access to internet to talk to any general physician or specialist in Indonesia. Next slide. Like I was describing earlier, we have a service called consultation. We can chat, call, or video call with a GP or specialist. And the cost is also very manageable compared to going to a hospital. We're about 3 times cheaper. In US dollars, if you talk to a GP in Halodoc, it's about $1.50. And if you talk to a specialist, it's about $3. We have the health store, which is the pharmacy services. We work with Gojek for this to deliver medicine to your doorsteps. The average time of delivery for us is 30 to 45 minutes in the capital city of Jakarta, because delivery is done by motorcycle, so it's much faster, and motorcycle can move through traffic faster. So, and this is available 24 hours. So this is basically a very good emergency service to have, especially when you have kids at night. During the COVID-19 pandemic, we also moved to help the Indonesian economy and market with COVID-19 testing, like PCR testing and vaccination as well. We have appointment services, which is visit hospital. We have at-home lab test. We have linking insurance, and we also have halodoc.com, which is basically your first health information that's available on web. Next slide. On the insurance front, we have 2 products available right now. We have the digital cashless outpatient. This is what we work with Allianz with. We are basically one of the cashless providers in Indonesia. So in Indonesia, actually, when you pay for insurance, usually you reimburse it to the company. So you do have to pay cash first to the hospital or the provider, and then you reimburse it. But working together with us, what our customers and users can do is use the Halodoc application, talk to a doctor, buy medicine, all cashless, because covered directly by Allianz without the payers having to pay first. We also have TPA service. It's basically connecting hospitals and providers. We offer a variety of healthcare concierge for customers to accompany them across all the different steps of offline healthcare experience. Next slide. This slide is basically just explaining a little bit more in detail on how you can use the digital cashless outpatient service in Halodoc application. The first step is, for example, linking your insurance provider number into the app. It's very seamless. It's just your policy number. And then you can use any of our services, doctor, prescription, and it's all will be covered by whatever insurance coverage that you have. And it's basically 75% cheaper, like I said earlier, than going offline. And it just deducts off your members' benefits. Next slide. Yes, so just to wrap it up quickly, Halodoc in numbers, we have around 20 million active users. We are the #1 in Indonesia, especially for COVID. We are #2 in the App Store, but #1 is a video editing app. And so for healthcare, it's quite, especially for healthcare, it's quite a feat to be #2 on the App Store in the country, right under a video editing app. But this is also obviously because of the pandemic that we're facing in Indonesia. So we became a very popular app to download. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much as well to you. And I think there's a lot of virtual applause coming up for all your presentations. I would like to go now into that discussion. I do have so many questions and the audience as well. So let me see if I can all connect that. But perhaps I can start with what was the word you were using? Ubiquity. I actually haven't heard that word before, so but I think this is a really good start to pick that up, Barbara. To start with, Des, in your presentation, you started you focused on the online communication once you have your clients registered. But also in your first slide, you showed us your overall customer journey. And here you showed us that your first touch points actually don't have to be via the call center or digitally. And I think that you, Markus, had as well that you had that Gojek Allianz area in the beginning. Perhaps I can ask these questions to the both of you. Can you perhaps tell us, like, first of all, what was your original idea to set up these experience centers? Was it to increase the trust? Was it to sell policies or to make the services more tangible? And especially, what were your first learnings and or even achievements, if you have any data on that? Perhaps you can start with this.
Yeah, certainly. So the experience centers, as part of us establishing a physical presence, addressing some of those issues like trust and product understanding, and also to sell policies. We only launched our experience centers not that long ago, so we don't have so much data behind it just yet, but we know that we're not selling a lot of policies in the experience centers. What we are doing is converting more customers in the field. And people are feeling more confident to buy a product because they know if they have a query or they have any issue, they don't just have to deal with that on the phone or via digital channels. They can go and see people. And we're actually finding the most popular reasons for visiting the experience center are people wanting to understand the policy that I bought, how will it apply in my particular circumstance? And the other thing that they ask about is the billing cycle. How does it work? When will the payment be taken? So overall, we know the experience centers, they are helping us establish that physical presence that I spoke about, and it's addressing issues like product understanding and trust.
Okay. Marco, you want to add up from your experiences?
Yeah, so I think from our experience, one of the other reason we also set up this experience center is that remember that many people's, at least in Indonesia, you still need to physically see and touch a product before you decide to buy something. Yeah, and we all know that insurance is not a physical product. So being physically there to actually interact with the drivers, that's really important. And also by doing that, by doing this experience centers, you also build up the hype, right? The excitement among the drivers, among the customers, to really learn what is it exactly that you're trying to offer. And then you can also talk with your friends, ask what has been their observations or experience so far with Allianz, for example. And it's also good, what do you call that? Good opportunity for Allianz in particular, as an insurance company, to really show to customers who have never bought an insurance before that we are actually there, physically there. You don't need to worry that we will run away and not pay your claims, that we are there to serve you.
Okay. Edson, if I would pick up now the question of Dominic here, in terms of the combination of like being close to the customer, having like this multi-level marketing and the connection to customer referrals, which you are using a lot, I think, in your approach. Do you also is RoboErta like the missing link to combine these multi-channel marketing approaches?
By the interpreter, he's on mute. Okay. Thank you so much for your question, Matthias. Roberto's main idea was to make it simple, make communication simple, and to remove the idea, the heavy terminology of insurance in Brazil. As Marcos said, Brazil's the same thing. Brazilians like to touch and feel. And as we joke here, we say that selling chocolate is easy. Selling insurance in Brazil, it's like selling broccoli. Everybody knows it's good for your health, it's good for you. However, it's it's a challenge for them to buy. They'd rather buy chocolate. So we brought this idea within Roberto's concept in a simple and efficient way in which the client have the acquiring experience in at the most 2 minutes with policies, insurance certificates. They receive everything in 2 minutes on their cell phone, the phone that they're using. And it's very simple. And the first is the self-purchasing technique, which is a full digital experience. And the other one is a guided experience in which RoboErta communicates with this insurance prospect. And I would like to tell you also that we work with the concept of simplicity through RoboErta, and especially with the scaling approach. We are a digital country, 213 million population, and we have a lot of territory to access. So we developed RoboErta as a link. It's been very hard work since 2016 to improve at every step with the SEG team. And insurance is essential. And in Brazil, the essential is to be insured.
You were talking about, I think everybody was talking about all the efforts to reach your clients with quite sophisticated online tools as well. Like perhaps start with Brazil about your digital literacy in the country. Is this a challenge for you? And then perhaps also to Desmond, how do you cope with people who have a feature phone only, who offer all these services? Edson, please first.
Lidamos no primeiro
We
momento.
deal with them. First of all, we create the idea of an application, but we discover or found out that the cell phones in Brazil did not have any more room to unload this application. So we started developing the idea of sending only a link. That link, that person goes in the link, and from there on, he has the experience of the purchase guided by Roboerta. Roboerta interacts with this consumer in real time. When he types his income tax number in Brazil, we call it CPF. Roboerta then starts interacting with him and always trying to call him by his name. So they try to communicate with the client, calling him by his personal name, and then you make yourself closer to that person. Then we look for not only to sell that product not only to one individual, but also to develop a protection through the insurance company to the entire family as a whole. And that is the main purpose, our main purpose. And for that, we work thinking of technology in a human way, humanized way, and easy access, not uncomplicated. He only have to access the phone, the link, and then Roboerta starts to interact with him. Very simple.
Yeah, for us, in terms of like feature phones, so all the journeys that we built as part of the Sagabi project, we replicated them for feature phones as well. We used SMS and IVR to deliver the same journey, but we found that behavior was different. As I said in my presentation, smartphone users were far better at understanding what we were trying to say. And we also found that feature phone users, those channels, there are limitations for them. You know, SMS, firstly, you have a 160 character restriction. Even though you can send several SMSs, it isn't the right channel for hyper personalization, because people don't engage with SMS in that way. And with IVRs, you have to dedicate a lot of time to listen to a whole message to actually take something from it. So even though we replicated what we did for smartphone use, what we did with smartphone users for feature phone users, I wouldn't say that we necessarily achieved the same kind of outcome. But we're not going to not entertain feature phone users, because we know within our customer base in Ghana right now, they make up almost 50% of our customer base. So we will continue to look for ways of reaching them with what we say.
Yeah, thanks. We do have a couple of questions from the audience also about the business case behind it. And if I look at this, I think the example from Indonesia is quite beautiful, because it can be even a role model for like how new partnerships are bringing very different private sector players together. We're coming from very different directions, but create something new and very beautiful. So perhaps to Indonesia first, the question: if you are offering all your services to how to say that? Well, I think by offering the services from Halodoc, you're also decreasing the number of people who are gonna go to the ER room, right, for minor issues. Like, do you on the other side, on Allianz side, do you see that this is here the effect of an increase of services from the teledoctor mean at the same time like a decrease in the claims?
Yeah, so I think in terms of what we call the frequency of claims itself, it's that so far what we have seen is no significant change in terms of frequency, but what is for sure one item with regards to the economics of this is that we by doing this teleconsultation, it is actually it's more cost efficient for us to provide this service, and definitely from the customer's point of view, it's a lot more convenient. I think what I can share here also is that the pickup rate so far for our clients, especially for the Gojek driver, has not been. It has varied, right? So I think in the past it was relatively low, the utilization, probably in the single digit in terms percentage-wise. But with the pandemic, with the COVID-19, we are actually seeing a significant increase of about 30% of the drivers now actually use this. So yeah, that's also one of the learnings that we've observed in the past 2-3 years.
Mm-hmm. Before I go to Fest to actually ask exactly the same question, since you're offering all these services in-house, do you, Marco, also see a boost in retention by using all these additional services?
I think to measure retention is not an easy. It's not easy for me to quantify because retention here. It's let me put the context this way. Our partnership with Gojek, especially for the Gojek driver, it's not unlike other group contracts. Yeah, our typical group health contracts in Indonesia runs for about 1 year. And with this Gojek driver, we have a slightly longer duration. So I think in that regards, retention does not necessarily help. And there are also many other factors at each driver level, why they want to continue with us or why they decide not to continue with us. Maybe it also has to do with their own relationship or contract or status with being a driver, right? But one thing for sure is that by having these services from Halodoc, it helps us to differentiate not only our products, but also in terms of our health services, because definitely in Indonesia, there's not that many players that offers these health services that Halodoc has.
Yes. How does this look from the BIMA side in all your countries?
Yeah, can I just ask you to clarify the question just so I understand it properly?
The question is, do you, first of all, it was a question about do you see a direct link between an increase of teledoctor requests and services from your clients at the same time with a reduction of claims from the hospitals? And secondly, yeah, perhaps you do that one first.
Oops. So interestingly, as part of the Sagabi project, we actually saw an increase in claims. We saw a 26% increase in claims from those customers who've been on the Sagabi project versus those who were not part of the project. But actually, the claims rate is low, and actually we have been able to serve more customers and help more customers utilize the product in the right way. Then we see that as a positive. And just in terms of sort of how all the different touch points work together, I know I saw there was a question in the chat about this. You know, when it comes to digital communication in isolation, I think, as I said in my presentation, we see an uplift in our retention. We see some immediate better payment behavior, but we have seen that after a few weeks, it is a distant it is a distant memory and it doesn't last. However, and as I said in my presentation, it's the combined effect of those digital communication journeys and the physical touch points that, that leads to an overall improved customer experience. And that is what's going to lead, or that's what we believe is going to lead to an improvement in long-term payment behavior.
Yeah, I think I would have so many more questions, but we are running out of time. So perhaps I can ask you, to all of you, perhaps one question. If you, if you would think about the future, what would be a complete new partnership you would like to, which you would like to try out in the future? Because I think we do have more than 100 persons in the audience. And I think that many people would like to cooperate with you or to be inspired with you. Do you have any gut feeling for one idea which would change your business or improve the business? Perhaps we can start with Edson.
Perfeito, Matias. É uma oportunidade muito boa mesmo.
Perfect, Matias. It's the best opportunity because we have a large public in the insurance market, particularly inclusive insurance in the world. Yes, we have an idea and we're working on it. We're going to sign a partnership with the group Seguros because we believe that we have to go through education of that group that has no access to traditional insurance, with information and raising their awareness, not just the grown-up, but the child. Yes, the person that is under development. We're going to launch a book at the end of December talking about the story of the inclusive insurance in Brazil with the title from micro insurance to inclusive insurance, taking a more educational line, bringing to that public information that is simple with the traditional insurance language. In Brazil, it's very common to see that you have to pay a premium, and in their mind, a premium you receive, it goes through education and the way you communicate, which has to be simple, objective, but efficient.
And I think that's a very great opportunity. We have 213 million inhabitants. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. We are really running out of time, but perhaps a short answer from the rest, Felicia. So, yeah.
Sorry, I was cut off for a bit.
Okay. The question would be about if you would coming from your side of the whole perspective, what would be like a partnership you would envision, which you have thought of, but you had no chance to implement yet? Would you have something from the top of your head?
Yeah. Actually, in terms of partnership, we really want to work with more regional local hospitals. That's something that we personally have not been able to tap into. So in Indonesia, it's called like puskesmas. It's something Halodoc has not been able to tap into. And what a puskesmas is basically like every little like neighborhood in towns, including Jakarta, has kind of like their local hospital. It's a clinic where people can use their government health insurance to get any kind of service for free there. We think that if we can partner with Puskesmas, we can open up our services to more low-income families who actually really need access to doctors. But it's something that we're still working on because it's also very government type of relationship. Yeah.
Yeah. That's always a bit more challenging, I guess. Reaching out to Desmond.
Yeah, I think for us, it's really expanding the physical and digital theme. We know, obviously, we have our touch points. We're trying to keep in touch with our customers through digital communication. But, you know, we know that in between, when a customer speaks to our doctors or they visit the clinic, they're living with these conditions every day. And we know that there's technologies and at-home devices that is helping customers achieve better health outcomes. And for us, we would love to partner with companies that operate in that space and connect them with our platform.
Thank you for that. And last but not least, Marco, before I close the session.
Yeah, I think one opportunity that we're definitely looking forward to is if we can find partners that are actually actively looking into communities of these customers, because for us in Indonesia, typically these are potential clients for inclusive insurance. They live in outer parts of the city, and they actually like to form their own communities. And for us, if we can tap or find some sort of new business model for us to make it easier for us to tap into these communities, I think that would really be exciting.
Good. We are completely over the time, but thank you anyway to staying with us and to the end. Thank you very much for my wonderful speakers and for the inspiration. Yeah, I think the value lies in partnerships and the combination of digitalization, physical presence, and a human touch. And with that, thank you very much. I wish everybody in the audience and everybody here a good last few hours of our international conference on inclusive insurance in 2021, and I'm very much hoping that next year we all can see each other in person. Very excited where that will be. Dirk, thank you so much.
Thank you, Matthias. Thank you to all the panelists from around the world for making this possible. It was really insightful, and yeah, to me, it's about the balance. We need to go digital to reduce costs, but we can't really use the touch with the customer. I put the coffee break link in the chat, so join us for a virtual coffee break after that session. In 30 minutes, we start with the final session of today, and then tomorrow the conference will conclude with another 3 sessions. So thank you to everyone, and see you in the coffee break.